Baker Company, 1st Battalion, 24th Marines, was one of the few regiments assigned to take the island of Saipan during Operation Fortress Phase 1.
June 15, 1944, the U.S. 5th Amphibious Corps would make landfall on the island of Saipan, the first island to be taken in the Marianas Campaign. Their objective was to capture the Alisto airfield for long-range B-29 bombers and to support the upcoming invasion of the Philippines. Additionally, the capture of the Mariana Islands would breach Japan's absolute national defense zone, a line the Japanese were determined to hold at all costs.
What was expected to be less than a week of combat turned into 4 weeks of grueling hell. This is what they would have carried during that time.
Howdy, and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be going over the rifleman kit of a squad leader from Baker Company, 1st Battalion, 24th Marines, 4th Marine Division. To get things started off, we'll be going over the M1 service rifle. The M1 Garand was a standard issued service rifle of the United States military. This one in particular is outfitted with mostly correct parts, that including Type 2 lock bar sights, a curved and correctly serialized operating rod, a milled trigger guard, and in the buttstock we have an M3 combination tool and nickel oiler for cleaning. Attached to the rifle I have my M1907 leather sling. This one is outfitted with steel hardware as opposed to brass, which is the early model of the sling, but you can still see brass hardware slings throughout the entirety of the war, and typically you wouldn't see the M1 Garand web slings until much later into the war, if at all, in the Pacific Theater. As a squad leader, I would also be usually issued an M1 carbine. However, up to personal preference, I've chosen the M1 Garand. Personally, it puts down a Japanese soldier a lot quicker than the carbine does, and the carbine is very susceptible to rusting, especially in the South Pacific. However, the carbine does have its benefits over the M1 Garand, but that's a topic for another day. Moving on to my haversack, I'm wearing the P41 or 782 haversack. This is the top half of a two-part system, where the second half would attach to the bottom here and carry extra uniforms, boondockers, what have you. Oftentimes it was ditched in combat and in landings because it would add unnecessary complexity and weight to the pack. Let me go ahead and show you what's inside of here. Starting off on the exterior of the pack, we have the Marine Corps issued poncho. This is the early model of camouflage poncho that does not have the grommet holes in the corners of the poncho. These ponchos were also reversible, having a green side and a beach side. Although more often than not, the green side was used much more. On the side of the pack here, I have my 1905 16-inch bayonet with wooden grips. The 4th Marine Division would be issued these bayonets throughout the entirety of war, and you can see them even as far as Iwo Jima. It also is held within a M3 fiberglass scabbard. I should mention this is a reproduction of a scabbard and needs to be repainted, as the paint is not exactly correct. All right, moving to the main compartment of the haversack. Starting off here, I got a basic sewing kit, a waterproof food bag, which will usually carry things such as socks or any other personal items that you don't want to get wet in the jungle. Personally, in here I have a pair of Army wool socks and another pair of Marine Corps cotton socks. Right here, I have a Diddy toiletry bag, which contains stuff for brushing my teeth, a shaving towel, it can carry razors, shaving cream, and all that. In here, I have 2 cans. These are modern cans and acting as stand-ins for C rations, but also K rations are very common to see on Saipan as well. Either or can be seen with the Marines of the 4th Marine Division. I have a pair of boxer shorts, and then I also have my Marine Corps t-shirt in Kelly green. Every single Marine would carry one of these shirts with them. A lot of them would not wear them underneath their uniforms though, due to the temperatures on Saipan reaching above 85 degrees plus a severe amount of humidity. So a lot of them would omit wearing these underneath the dungarees, but would wear them generally when they're relaxing a little farther behind the front lines. Also in here, I have my spare parts bag, which is a waterproof small little bag, which can be used to carry a multitude of items. However, in here, I'm carrying extra patches for my rifle, a brush for the rifle, some grease pots, and bore cleaner as well. Next piece of equipment I have is the M6 lightweight gas mask bag. These are typically issued with a gas mask as well as other equipment to help with chemical warfare. However, many Marines and Army personnel would soon realize that chemical warfare was most likely not going to be utilized on Saipan. So they would ditch the gas mask in order to carry extra things within this bag, usually rations or other pieces of field equipment. For me personally, I'm carrying the M7 rifle grenade launcher. At this point in the war, the Marines were following the F-Series table, which divided the rifle squad into 3 4-man fire teams led by a squad leader, and every man with a carbine or an M1 rifle was authorized to use either an M7 grenade launcher for the M1 Garand or an M8 grenade launcher for the M1 carbine. Although most Marines would not carry these grenade launchers, I've opted to do so for that little extra firepower for the squad. To help with that, I carry the M9A1 anti-tank rifle grenade, as well as a pineapple grenade on a M1A2 rifle grenade adapter. The M1A1 adapter, which is slightly different than this one, would be more appropriate for Saipan. So moving on to the next piece of field equipment, I have a bandolier right here. This is made out of cloth, holds 6 extra M-block clips, and on this one in particular, I have a Mark II pineapple grenade, simply just friction fitted onto the bandolier for quick access. You can see Marines carrying up to 4 of these bandoliers at a time, although 2 was the most common for the M1 rifle. These were very quick and very handy to resupply Marines with, and best part is they're disposable. So once you're done with them, just take it off, throw it off to the side. Moving on to the next piece of field equipment, we'll be going over the web gear of the 782 equipment. So going on with the web gear here, the base of this is a Marine Corps M1923 cartridge belt. This is basically the same thing as the U.S. Army. The only difference really is in the markings. With the Marine Corps being stamped on the other side, right here, and not having a big U.S. stamp on the front of it. Supporting it are the P41 pack suspenders. These are pretty thin and very easy to adjust, and can also be integrated with the P41 haversack to have a one solid unit between the belt and the pack. Right here, I have my T-handle shovel attached to my belt. This was a very common practice with Marines of the 4th Division and just across the Battle of Saipan in general. It allowed for you to ditch your pack and move very quickly onto your next offensive line. And once you reach there, you could start digging in immediately. You didn't have to wait for your pack to be brought up, nor did you have to carry your pack with you, shedding some weight, making it a little bit more faster, more nimble. On both the cover here and on my canteen over here, I have UNIS markings. This is a way for Marine units to identify themselves across the battlefield, and it was a little bit of a weird system, I won't lie. The semicircle here represents the 4th Marine Division, the 4 represents the 24th Marine Regiment, the 1 represents the 1st Battalion, and 3 represents Baker Company. And that's how Marines were able to identify themselves. Especially you see these markings on Iwo Jima as well, very prominently, but you can still see them on Saipan as well in pretty decent numbers. Moving on, I got 2 canteens here. One of them is a M1910 Army canteen, and the other one is a P2 Marine Corps canteen. Both of these are aluminum steel caps, and both of them have canteen cups as well. The Marines didn't make a lot of usage out of Army equipment, especially in the first half of the war, but you can still see them even using Army equipment into the Battle of Okinawa, which would be almost a year after the Battle of Saipan. And on this canteen right here, I also have my spoon. Marines did not really make use of mess kits, so a lot of them would simply just eat straight out of the rations or the cans, or they would utilize their canteen cups, basically acting as somewhat of a cast iron skillet concept, if you would. In the center of the belt, I have my Jungle First Aid Kit, which contains several pieces of equipment, and also I've found to do some research can also vary a little bit from kit to kit. In this particular kit, I'm carrying insecticide powder, insect repellent, pill vials for malaria, stuff like that, some more water purification tablets, and some iodine as well. And this Carlisle attached to the bottom, I carry an extra Carlisle bandage as well as wound tablets. Moving over here, I've sacrificed one of my cartridge belt pockets for my K-bar fighting knife. These were very popular amongst Marines, even just having a fighting knife in general. An own personal fighting knife before the K-bar even came around was a very popular idea with Marines. And personally, this is a lot more handy to use in a close quarters situation than any bayonet, especially when a Japanese soldier jumps into your foxhole. This is basically the multi-tool of the United States Marine, and these are still even used today, as many of you are sure aware. Finally, on this side right here, I have a compass pouch. While not every squad leader would get these, officers did have a high casualty rate, especially within the 1st Battalion. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for a Marine to carry a compass such as this right here. For my headgear, I wear the iconic M1 steel helmet. This is a front seam fixed bail wartime production helmet with the appropriate liner to accompany it. On top of here, I'll wear the Marine Corps frog skin cover, which is also, just like the poncho, reversible to have beach side on one side and then foliage on the other. The back of the helmet is untucked. This is a somewhat common practice with the Marines on Saipan, as this will help keep the sun off the back of your neck, just make you just that much more comfortable when you're sitting in foxhole in the blazing sun. The basic uniform I'm wearing is the P-41 dungarees. These were used throughout the entirety of the war, despite the Marine Corps trying to replace them with the P-42 and P-44 uniforms. In some of the pockets, I carry notebooks and pencils, a toothbrush for either cleaning my teeth or my rifle, cigarettes for currency and trading for other goodies, extra legging laces, star rounds for the grenade launcher, and then my dungaree pants are held up by the standard issue Marine Corps trouser belts. And in this pocket over here, I have a pocket Bible and a rosary. For footwear, I have the standard issue Marine Corps boondockers with the leggings. These are untucked from my dungaree trousers, as the temperatures on Saipan, as I mentioned earlier, was quite hot and humid. This allowed you to have some more airflow to your legs, while also keeping the benefit of the leggings of keeping debris out of your boots. Around my neck, I wear the Marine Corps standard issue dog tags. These have the information of an early war set of dog tags. However, the information would change throughout the duration of the war. Also around my neck, I carry a holy medal that identifies me as a Catholic and define a priest, if possible, upon my death. One quick note about the dog tags is that they're also being held on by cloth string. This was a common practice in the Pacific, as the metal chains would cause extra and unnecessary noise. So this HPT style cloth was used instead for retaining your dog tags. Also, you may notice my hair and my facial hair are not up to Marine Corps standards. This is because I am portraying a Marine in the later part of the campaign, where there are several accounts of Marines stating that they haven't shaved or gotten a haircut since before they landed on Saipan. So having that more raggedy, homeless-esque look is pretty accurate to what the 1st Battalion, 24th Marines was looking like at the time. On my wrist, I wear a simple watch. This is not a military issued watch. The A11 style, which was the style that was used for the military at this point in time, was only really given to officers or other specialized personnel. For an enlisted men to get their hands on a watch, they would need to either have it sent from home or acquired it through some other means. So this is most likely for me one that I brought from home, and also is the correct size, being in that 31 to 34 millimeter range for the time period. Thank you all for watching this video about the kit breakdown of a rifleman squad leader from Baker Company, 1st Battalion, 24th Marines. If you guys would like to learn more about the 1st Battalion, 24th Marines, I'll leave a link in the description down below to a website that goes by many of their operations throughout World War II, day by day. And if you guys would like to learn more about what 1st Battalion did on Saipan, stop by the Museum of the American GI in College Station, Texas, March 20th through 22nd, where my unit will be discussing the Battle of Saipan, particularly with Baker Company, that weekend. With that, y'all, I gotta keep mopping up this island. Y'all stay safe, and God bless.